Hello, my name is Mayra, and for today's video, I want to go ahead and talk about some of my favorite romance books that I have read that have some sort of sport in them. Now, I'm someone who loves being physically active, whether it's at the gym, playing in my women's soccer team, hiking, etc. And I also really enjoy watching sports, so you get a sports romance and it's like a match made in heaven, at least for me. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of go over 3 of the different sports books that I've read. Different types of sports is what I mean by that. And I'm gonna go ahead and start with the ones that I have less recommendations for and then kind of work my way up. I do have my iPad here that I will be looking down into just so I don't forget certain things. So if you see me looking down, that's what it is. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with soccer, or football as is known everywhere else in the world except here in the US. So my first soccer book recommendation is Colty by Mariana Zapata. So Colty is the last name of the hero. His name is Rainer Colty, and he is this retired German soccer superstar. I mean, he is a legend. He is a household name. And then you have Sal Casillas, and she is a professional soccer player. She is in the MLS in Texas, the MLS being Major League Soccer in Texas. And so the book is told from her point of view. So she is, again, in this women's team. She is a really great forward. So she is the one trying to score goals, in case you don't know how like soccer works. And so she is playing for the MLS. Now, she's always admired Colty. Like he's a household name. Her family is huge fans of him. Like everyone knows who he is. And all of a sudden their team basically finds out that he's gonna be the new assistant coach. So she is freaking out. I mean, she used to have a huge crush on him, had posters of him on the wall, and now he's gonna become her coach. So she's super, super excited. Except he ends up not really being like the person that she thought he was. And so she very, very quickly gets over the fact and over her excitement about having him as a coach, because she finds that he is at practice and he's just kind of staring at them, not really giving them tips, not really giving them advice. And so she's kind of like, who is this guy? Like, he's here, but he's not even giving us tips. He's not even coaching us. So very quickly, she's like, you know what, whatever, forget it. Maybe you shouldn't, meet your idols. Except during one of the games in the preseason, her dad, being a huge fan of Colty, ends up going up to Colty and doesn't have the best exchange with him. And she doesn't see it for herself, but she finds out for her teammate that basically her coach, Colty, made her dad feel like bad. He basically kind of ignored him. It's almost like you go to like somebody that you admire and like, hey, can I have an autograph or a picture? And then they're like, no, like just flat out, like rude. And so she is like, I don't care that he's my coach. That is my dad. He is not going to be like that with my dad. And so she walks over in the field and rips him a new one and basically tells him, listen, I know you don't care about us, you don't care about this team, you don't want to coach us, you just want to stay here and just stare at us practice, then fine, but don't you dare disrespect my dad. And so she just goes off on him, very not cussing him out or anything, but just very firmly puts him in his place and then just walks away. Doesn't know what's gonna happen with her, doesn't know if she's gonna get in trouble, because again, he's like a big deal. But he actually ends up getting a lot of respect for her, because she was able to just kind of put him in his place and not care about who he was, and didn't kind of bow to him. And so little by little they start kind of developing this friendship. So that's basically where the book goes from there. And of course it does eventually turn romantic. Now I will say this book is very slow burn. There's not really spice, and the spice that there is in the book is very, very mild, and it's towards the end of the book. So it's definitely more of like a friends to lovers type of book. It's kind of like the vibe for this book. So if that's something that is more your style or something that you're looking for, I would definitely recommend this book. She also is Hispanic, so she is Mexican, and me being Mexican, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool. Like, we have a Mexican heroine, which I feel like I haven't really had a chance to read a lot of. So you don't have to be Mexican, but if you are, it was just kind of nice to see that. A lot of the family dynamics, there's some Spanish words thrown in here and there, and it's just really cute. It's very relatable. So I would say if you have a chance, go ahead and pick that one up. Now, the second recommendation that I have that's also in soccer is The Forbidden Man by Karina Halley. I was very skeptical about this book at first because it is reverse age gap. She's 40 and he's 23. And I was skeptical, not because I don't think it's right or okay for a woman to date a younger man, but because of the severe age difference. I was like, I really hope he's not immature, and like, what if he's this? Like, I was already kind of coming up with my own ideas, and I was so wrong. And I'm so happy that I was wrong because the book was so good. Basically, this book follows Talia, and she had a very public, very, very messy divorce. And it's very public because she is a physical therapist for Manchester United in England, and her husband, or now ex-husband, is a coach there. So they were working together, they were married for years, and then it came to light that he had been cheating on her. So she was getting dragged all over the news, being possibly like blamed, because of course they don't want to blame him because he's like the coach for like the soccer team. And so she just needs a reset. She needs to get out of London. She wants to find a different job, which is really hard because her being a physical therapist and wanting to be at a professional level is really difficult to get into as a woman. And so she finally ends up getting a really great offer from a team in Spain, in Barcelona actually, and she ends up moving to Spain to coach this new team. Now she is super excited, over the moon, and just happy to basically press like the reset button and just start over. Now on the first day, she ends up meeting the soccer team, you know, the players, and she meets Alejo. Now Alejo is the main superstar of the team. He's a forward, he's the one trying to score the goals, and he is like, he just signed this contract for like tons of money with the team, and he is basically like the superstar. Like, he's like the MVP, like the main one. And she is very quickly attracted to him, but she's like, I am not going to ruin this like I ruined my other job. I already got involved with someone where I worked, and obviously it didn't pan out, so I'm not going to do it. And he is very flirty, and he makes it very clear to her that he's very attracted to her, but she very like from the beginning says, no, this is the line and we are not crossing that line, and that's it. Now, during one of the matches though, Alejo ends up getting injured, and the main sports therapist is recommending, hey, you know what, just get surgery, you're young, you'll recover. But she, based on her expertise, is thinking, no, I think we can avoid surgery so that it's not as intrusive and so that you don't have to be out of the games as much. And so they end up, the head of the team ends up deciding, okay, you know what, we're gonna go with your advice, Talia, but I want you to oversee his recovery. So now they have to be around each other all the time because she has to basically help him recover and help his knee recover and guide him through all these different forms of therapy to get him back into the game. So you have this close proximity, and she again is like, I've been burned before, I'm not gonna get burned again, and also you're way too young for me. And he is over here like, listen, age is just a number, I'm attracted to you, I don't care about your past, I don't care about anything, I just want to be with you. And it's a very cute romance. I already wanted to go to Spain. This book made me want to go to Spain even more. I became obsessed with sangria. There's so much sangria mentioned like in this book. So I would say, if you like sangria, if you are of age and you would like to drink a little bit of sangria, I recommend reading the book and just having a small glass of sangria and just enjoy yourself. Such a good book. Definitely recommend it. 5-star. It was great. Now we're gonna go ahead and hop over to football, and I mean American football. So, you know, the one that you throw, the NFL. Now for this one, I have a series that I would recommend, and this is the Rally Raptor series by Samantha Whiskey. Now this book is, the series actually follows 3 different players. You have Nixon, Roman, and Hendricks. All of them are professional football teams in the NFL. Now for Nixon, this one is a weekend in Vegas turns surprise pregnancy. Now if that is not your trope, if that's not something that you like, not to fear. You also have Roman, and Roman follows again another professional football player and his best friend. So he's been in love with his best friend for years, like for like over a decade, and she is in this relationship, and so he's keeping his distance. He's not really pursuing her until she ends up coming to his door and saying, hey, I need your help because like things are, you know, I'm not with my boyfriend anymore. This is everything that's been going on and I just need someone to help me out. Can you help me? And he's like 100% yes. But also he's in love with her, and so now you have this close proximity. So if that's more your style, that's the book for you. And then last but not least, you have Hendrix. This was a forbidden romance because it is the coach's daughter. So the coach said, hey, you know what? The main thing is stay away from my daughter. I don't want any of you players getting close to my daughter. I know how you athletes are, so stay away from her. And that's the very first thing that Hendrix says. He just can't help it. He's like totally like attracted to her and just kind of is like, okay, I think she's like the one for me or something, because he just can't help it. So those are those 3 books in the Rally Raptor series by Samantha Whiskey that I would definitely recommend. And then you also have The Lie and the Plan. There's also The Catch. I think that's the 3rd book. I haven't read that one, but I've read The Lie and the Plan by Carla Sorensen. So in the first book, The Lie, you have Dominic and Faith. Now Dominic is this misunderstood bad boy. He's known for having a temper. He's a great football player, but he has a temper. He's not very team oriented. He's very much about, I want to succeed, I want to look good, me type of thing, which obviously doesn't work when you're in a sport where you have to work as a team and coordinate with other people. And so he finally gets drafted into this new team, and the team is like, listen, you can't mess around here, like you have to like follow these rules. And right off at the beginning, he is bonding with one of the rookies. The rookie ends up getting super drunk, throws up on the field, and Dominic ends up taking the blame because he doesn't want this rookie to start off on the wrong foot, and he figures, you know what, my reputation's already bad, so I'll just take the blame for you, don't even worry about it. And so the owner of the team, who happens to be a woman, by the way, I loved that, she ends up telling him, hey, since this is not going to fly with us here, I'm going to force you to have to volunteer at some of our charities. And the charity that you're going to volunteer with, my daughter is the one that oversees it, so you'll be reporting directly to her. Now, her daughter's name is Faith, and Dominic and Faith start spending time together, and Dominic is very like standoffish, wants nothing to do with her. And Faith is single and she finds him attractive, but there's this guy that she's always been messaging with for years. I think probably for like 5-6 years. They just randomly met online. They've never met in person. They don't know what each other looks like, and they just message each other back and forth. Now, if you kind of know where this is going, it ends up being that Dominic is this guy that she's been messaging. Now, Dominic doesn't know that she's the girl he's been messaging, and Faith doesn't know that he's the guy that she's been messaging. But eventually, Dominic ends up finding out first, and that is why this book is called The Lie. So as soon as Dominic finds out that Faith is a person that knows a lot of his personal stuff, a lot of the things that make him so angry because of all the pain that he's been through. He did have a sister that died due to cancer, and so there's all this stuff that he shared with this person who just turns out to be Faith. And so now he's seeing her in this whole new light, but she's kind of like, why is he even being this nice to me when he was literally a jerk 5 minutes ago? And she has no idea that that is why, and he's trying to find a way of like telling her. And that's where this book kind of goes. You're kind of like, oh my god, tell her, but they're also getting to know each other. And she's kind of like, wait, but like I really like this other guy that I'm messaging, but also I don't even know what this guy looks like, so why am I even hung up on this guy? And also Dominic is being so sweet that I'm starting to like him. And yeah, that's where that book goes. And then the second book that I read, like I said, from the series is The Plan. This one is Eric and Lydia. So Lydia is actually Faith's sister from the first book, and Eric is a retired football player. So Eric is actually hired by Lydia and Faith's dad to be Lydia's bodyguard. And the reason for that is because Lydia is like the social media influencer. She has tons of followers, but she also has a lot of paparazzi that follow her because of, again, her mom is like the owner of the football team, her dad's a retired football player, and she's this like Instagram influencer. She has a lot of followers, she's pretty famous, she gets a lot of brand deals. And on one of the days that the paparazzi's following her, she ends up getting into this really bad car accident. Now, she ends up being okay, but she kind of goes into this like depression, and she doesn't want to get out of the house. She's super scared, and so her parents figure, you know what, let's hire her a bodyguard so that maybe she'll feel a little safer going out and about. And they kind of like tell her, you know what, it could be like your driver, and you know, not really a bodyguard, but it's just to kind of help her get out of her shell again, because she basically covered herself from, you know, everything that she experienced. And so she ends up, you know, meeting with Eric, and she's like, no, I refuse to have him be my bodyguard. That's so embarrassing. And so she tells him, you know what, you're gonna be my pretend boyfriend. We're gonna pretend that you're my boyfriend, because there's no way in hell that people are gonna know that you're my bodyguard. And so it starts off as a bodyguard romance. They quickly become really good friends, and then they begin to like each other and crush on each other, and it goes from there. So really good books, really great recommendations, if I do say so myself. Now we're gonna go ahead and jump into hockey, and I'm gonna go ahead and start with the Carolina Reapers series by Samantha Whiskey. I've never heard anybody, or at least I haven't seen any videos about this author, and I don't know why. Her books are so good. Her sports romance books, I just recommended some of her football ones, but this is her hockey series, and there is 10 books in this series. Now these are all based on different players on the team, and they have great banter. These are really strong heroines, and I love that about this. You literally, obviously there's 10 books, so I don't want to go into every single one just to save some time, but you literally have a librarian, a bar owner, the head of the PR team, a city clerk, you have the head of the team charity, you have the game day coordinator, the CEO of endorsement deals, you have two like sisters friends, or like friend sister, or yeah, sister's friend romance, and you also have a nanny one. So you literally get everything. Like these heroines all have different backgrounds, and obviously the players, they're all in the same hockey team. But this series, like, it's so good, and these are such quick reads that you just like, you fly through it. These women are really, again, like strong, independent. These guys are like in tip-top shape because they are professional athletes, and it's just such a good series. So definitely check it out. Again, it's the Carolina Reapers, 10 books, every single trope that you can imagine, like literally. I mean, there's so much. There's arranged marriage, there's kind of like friends to lovers, there's enemies to lovers, there's literally everything. There's like grumpy sunshine, like everything. So just check it out. They're all on Kindle Unlimited. They're for free if you have Kindle Unlimited, so go check those out. Now I do know she also has another series, and I haven't read that series. Why? I don't know, but it's the Seattle Sharks series, and it's 9 books. Now I would imagine that it would be like these other books of hers, because her football series and the Carolina Reaper series all have strong female characters, and I love that. They're strong without having to be in your face strong, so they're great. Again, Seattle Sharks, haven't read it. I will read it, but that's 9 books. So already you have 19 hockey book recommendations. So you're in a hockey like mood right now, there's your fix. 19 books, thank me later. Now the next series, I have seen a little bit more on social media, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but it's the Vancouver Wolves by Odette Stone. So in this one, you do have 4 books. Now the first one is a workplace romance, so it is forbidden. The second one is the professional athlete, and she actually is a homeless heroine. So she ends up meeting him randomly at a restaurant, sees him struggling while trying to do some of his accounting stuff, or like putting some stuff together for his accountant. And she's like, seriously? So she's like, dude, you just have to do this, and this. And he's like, hey, can you like take care of this for me? She's like, okay, but I need to leave at this time because I need to be somewhere at this time. So she helps him out, whatever. And he gives her a ride. She gets there late, and he finds out she's trying to go to a homeless shelter. And so he tries to convince her to come like stay with him, or for him to get her a hotel room. And she's like, no, thank you, I don't want your charity. But he gives her a business card and says, you know what, if anything happens, just call me. Now she does end up getting like assaulted, and when they get her at the hospital, they end up finding her, his phone number and her things, and so they call him, and he ends up offering her like a place to stay with him. So it's very slow burn because there is like that power dynamic. So I did like this book because eventually it like balances out where they're both in like a good position where now they can maybe start exploring other like things besides a friendship. So that's the second book. And then the third book, you have A Marriage of Convenience. And the fourth one, it's a sports agent. So it's again kind of forbidden. She doesn't want to ruin her reputation. He's a professional athlete and she knows that if she gets involved with him, she's the one that would basically suffer the consequences if things don't work out and not him. So those are the 4 books in the Vancouver Wolf series. And then you have Playing for Keeps by Becca Mack. Now, I'm going to start off by saying these books are not my favorite just because they're too fluffy for me. Like, they're too fluffy, they're too lovey-dovey. The characters sometimes read like they're teenagers and they're literally in their late 20s. And I'm just like, I don't know people that like talk like this that are teenagers, much less adults. So it's a little cringe at times, but I think if you like more like fluffier romance, then definitely go there. Now, just because they're fluffy doesn't mean that there's no spice. There's definitely spice, but I don't know, they're just too fluffy and they are pretty long. Like, I think some of them, especially the second and third book, could have been way shorter, like way shorter. But I still read 3 of the books and I think she's planning on making 2 more, if I'm not mistaken. So you have Consider Me, which is the first book, and this is a teacher and the professional hockey player. And then you have Play With Me, which is not only like brother's best friend, but also brother's teammate. So it's the sister from the guy in the first book and one of his teammates. And then you have the third book, which is Unravel Me. And this is a single mom, like, who is studying to be a vet and the professional hockey player. Now, Unravel Me, to be honest, I read it because I was most excited for him. You get to know Adam in like the first 2 books, and he just had such a like horrible ex-girlfriend. Like, she was so bad, cheated on him, like just did not just like deserve him. And he was like this like super nice, sweet, super hot guy, right? And it was just such a disappointing read. I still rated it like a 3.5 star. So I still read the book, but it was just disappointing because I was looking forward to this book so much. But I have seen that a lot of people rated it like 5 star, 4 stars. I think the people that gave it 4 stars were saying it just could have been a lot smaller or like shorter of a book. But it was still a good book. So I would definitely recommend taking a look at it if you get a chance and checking it out. But those are all the books that I have for you today. If you give any of these a try, please let me know what you think of them below. Or if you are gonna give them a try, let me know which one below. And if you have any more sports recommendations, please let me know, because I love reading sports romance books. So thank you so much for sticking around. I hope you have a great day. Bye.